that there is
Frank
help out
Delatrino
there.
talking about movies.
Hey, Frank, say hello to Penny, our doggy that's with us.
Penny, how you doing?
We have the Wizard of Oz tonight, right?
He's
The
listening.
1925 Wizard of Oz.
He's
This is
listening.
the last of the silent Oz movies you'll be showing. And I'm glad it's the last, not because they're bad movies, but because when I read the background of these movies, they're all so sad. The movies you've been showing the last few weeks were not successful and basically ruined the Oz Film Company that L. Frank Baum himself had set up. And tonight's movie, which comes 10 years after the movies you've been showing, so this is 1925, which makes it almost 90 years old. This was not a success, and it ruined what was left of the career of the man who made it. So I'm glad to kiss this stuff goodbye.
But it looks like a fun movie.
It is a fun movie. It just wasn't successful. It was directed and stars Larry Seaman, who basically is unremembered today, except he hired Oliver Harding. He hired Stan Laurel separately. He put them together in one movie, and then they did not appear together while working for him, and 5 years later they became a team. But that's what he's remembered for, is the guy that first put Laurel and Hardy on the same screen together. He's not remembered, but he was quite a popular comedian around the World War I period, and then he just doesn't change with the times. So by the time 1925 comes around, he's considered old-fashioned. His movies aren't very popular. He's not an easy man to work with, and that's true of a lot of comedians. And this movie falls flat on its face at the box office. It is not the Oz anybody might be expecting. It's over 80 minutes, and we don't get out of Kansas till minute 45.
Whoa.
So, and until then, there's a lot of comic shtick, you know, you know, the stuff you might associate with the silent two-reel comedies, the sight gags and all that, but no real plot. And audiences had outgrown it by then.
But Oliver Hardy, was he doing comedic stuff in this movie?
Oh yes. Well, Hardy. Let's see. Well, Hardy is only 33 when he makes this movie, but this is probably as young as you're ever going to see Oliver Hardy on film. But he has been in movies a long time, mainly making comic shorts. Most of them for Larry Seaman. He'd been working with Seaman, so it was quite natural that he would pop up in Seaman's movie. And he's got quite a big part. You'll have no trouble recognizing him. He has 3 parts in the movie, or 2 parts or 1 part if you want to consider the Tin Woodsman just an outgrowth of his farm hand in Kansas. So he's in a good part of the movie. He's not the romantic lead. He's kind of the girl that's back in Kansas. He's the guy who's fighting the star for the hand of the girl, and once they get to Oz, he becomes the Tin Woodman. And he looks just like Oliver Hardy, probably a bit thinner than you've ever seen him, but he's not thin in the movie at all. But he's not as big as he is in the comedies we think of him with. And so I mean, it's fun just to see him before he became famous. And the movie's not bad. I mean, the history of these movies is kind of depressing. Larry Seaman, star, the director, this basically ends his career. He makes a few more comic shorts, and he'll be dead in 3 years. Only 39 years old.
And L. Frank Baum died around the time?
I think L. Frank Baum is dead by now. I think he died 1919. Yeah, he died 1919, and so he never saw this movie. This was licensed from his estate, and so what else? Larry Seaman, who dies in 3 years, dies under mysterious circumstances, and perhaps didn't die. He had a lot of creditors by then, and no one knows where his body is to this day. So, though he died of pneumonia and tuberculosis, he was in a hospital. No one ever saw his body, and there was always the suspicion that maybe he just arranged his exit to get away from his creditors. So, when you see this kind of low-grade comic, a Stan Laurel type comic, not too bright and all that, and an innocent and all that, he had a lot going on behind the scenes. Dorothy in this movie is played by Larry Seaman's real wife, Dorothy. Dorothy Duane, who is her name, is the actress, and she plays Dorothy. Dorothy hasn't got a big role in this movie. And again, I said when I read into the history of these movies, it's kind of sad. There's a woman in this movie I always heard about, Virginia Pearson, who was kind of a vamp of the World War I. You know, she was a femme fatale, and her career had basically died, and she had declared bankruptcy, and she'll be out of the business in a few years, as will Dorothy Dawn, who will not survive sound. When sound comes in, her career is over.
And Frank, I will get you the movie for next week by email, but we got to sign off now.
Okay, I'll warn you listeners, there is a black character in this movie, and the humor directed at him is racist by our standards. So if nobody should be offended, that's the way they did it then.
Thank you so much, Frank Delestrito.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Bye. Our film critic, Frank. And that's the 1925 Wizard of Oz. Thank you, Marie Mazzio.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Betty. Thank you to Gene Martin, our director, and to Judy Kellerman and to WinCam. Views and opinions are ours, not yours, but you got to watch us. Thank you very much. Have a great night.